Daniel in the lion's den. Why did Daniel keep praying? They searched for any fault in Daniel, any corruption, any failure, anything they could use against him. Scripture says plainly they found nothing. So his enemies built a trap out of his faith instead. By this point in his life, Daniel was an old man, decades into a career serving pagan kings in a country not his own. He had survived the fall of Babylon. He had interpreted dreams for Nebuchadnezzar and read the handwriting on the wall for Belshazzar. Now Babylon itself had fallen, and a new king, Darius the Mede, ruled in its place. Darius planned to put Daniel over the entire kingdom. Daniel chapter 6 tells us why. He possessed an extraordinary spirit, and the king could find no fault in him at all. That excellence made him a target. The other administrators wanted him gone, and Scripture records their reasoning with unusual honesty. We will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. Notice what that admission actually reveals. They weren't accusing Daniel of a crime, they were admitting he had none, and that his obedience to God was the only weakness they could find to exploit. So they went to King Darius with a proposal. For 30 days, no one in the kingdom could pray to any god or man except the king himself. Anyone who did would be thrown into a den of lions. Under the law of the Medes and Persians, once a king signed a decree like this, not even he could undo it. Darius signed it without realizing what he had actually agreed to. Daniel knew about the decree. Scripture doesn't hide that from us. He read it just like everyone else. And Daniel chapter 6 records exactly what he did next. He went home, opened the windows of his upper room facing Jerusalem, and got down on his knees to pray. 3 times a day, just as he had always done. He didn't pray in secret. He didn't wait out the 30 days. He prayed in the open, in the same place, at the same hours, fully aware of what it would cost him. His enemies were watching for exactly that. They reported him to the king immediately, reminding Darius that under his own unchangeable law, Daniel now had to die. Scripture tells us Darius was greatly distressed. He liked Daniel. He respected him. He spent the rest of the day trying to find a way to save him. But the officials reminded the king of the law's one unbreakable condition: no decree of the Medes and Persians can be repealed. By sunset, Darius had run out of options. He gave the order himself. Before Daniel was lowered into the den, the king said something remarkable to him. Not a farewell, but something closer to a prayer of his own. May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you. A stone was rolled over the mouth of the den. Darius sealed it with his own ring and the rings of his nobles, so that nothing could be moved or tampered with. That night the king could not eat. He refused entertainment. Scripture says plainly, sleep escaped him. At the first light of dawn, Darius ran to the den, and in an anguished voice he called down into the darkness, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions? Then from inside the den, a voice answered, May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. The king was overjoyed. He ordered Daniel lifted out immediately, and when they examined him, Scripture notes a detail that matters. No wound was found on him at all, because he had trusted in his God. Then Darius gave a second order. The men who had accused Daniel were thrown into the same den, along with their families. Scripture says they never even reached the floor. The lions overpowered them before they landed. That detail isn't included for shock value. It proves the lions had been fully capable of killing a man that entire night. Nothing about them had changed. What changed was what God had done. Darius did something no pagan king in the book of Daniel had done before. He didn't just spare Daniel's life. He wrote to every nation and language in his empire, commanding that people fear the God of Daniel, calling him the living God, whose kingdom will never be destroyed, whose dominion will never end. A king who worshipped many gods had just declared in writing across his entire empire that Daniel's God alone was worthy of reverence. So why did Daniel keep praying, knowing exactly what the decree demanded? Scripture's answer is almost disarmingly simple, because prayer wasn't a new decision for him. It was already who he was. He didn't deliberate. He didn't need 30 days to work up the nerve. The decree changed the law. It never touched Daniel. That kind of resolve wasn't unique to him. Decades earlier, under a different king, three other men in this same book made an identical choice knowing it might kill them. They told Nebuchadnezzar plainly, "The God we serve is able to deliver us. But even if he does not, we will not serve your gods." Whatever their faith was built on, it wasn't a promise of rescue. Like Daniel's, it had to already be in place long before the trial that tested it arrived. Many who read this chapter have noticed something else too. A stone rolled over a sealed den, an innocent man condemned by the jealousy of leaders who could find no real fault in him, and a ruler stunned to find him alive when the stone was finally moved. Scripture never draws that comparison directly here, but centuries later, another innocent man would be sealed behind a stone by men who envied him, and that stone too would not hold. Daniel served two more kings after that night. Scripture's final word on him in this chapter is simple. He prospered. Not because the den had lost its power to kill him. It clearly hadn't. Because the habit that got him thrown into it, kneeling at that same window 3 times a day, regardless of the cost, was never really about the lions at all.